All right now.
Patrick Mahomes is basically God playing quarterback.
Chiefs Kingdom
Live!
They want it. They want it.
Yeah, when it's grim, be the Grim Reaper. Go get it.
That's a different tier right there, baby.
Yeah, we're not having a snowball fight.
Three. No one's ever got three. I want that to back to back.
The Lombardi Trophy has a red and gold reflection. Touchdown! Kansas City! One of the greatest duos in the history of the National Football League. Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce.
Let's go!
Do it live! You gotta fight for your right to fight!
It'll get handled when it gets handled.
Let's go!
Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 8:30 now. It's Chiefs Kingdom Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Real quick, if you would, if you don't mind, before you forget, make sure you click and tap that like and click and tap that subscribe. Maybe tell some friends, tell some family members, tell some Chiefs fans too. Help spread the word. We'd sure appreciate it. We got a good show lined up for everybody tonight.
Yes, sir.
The quest for the Three-Peat will be underway officially Saturday at Arrowhead, 3:25 p.m. Taking on the team where it all started. We've kind of come full circle here. We'll talk about what we think that means. We'll look at other playoff scenarios and the wild card weekend games, how those went, how we think the road for the rest of the playoffs is going to look, maybe pick some games here. Before we get into it, I hope everybody in the chat is doing well. Looks like we've got everybody lined up in here.
Hey,
Before we get into it, Nick, how are we doing tonight, man?
Yeah, I'm starting to get those pre-playoff game jitters, man. It's starting to feel real. It's this week. Scott, I know you laugh at me, but
Dude, still worries about the games after we've had Patrick Mahomes for 7 years. And
I didn't say worried. I said jitters, man.
That's
Get excited and get kind of that anxious feeling like you're going, you're getting ready to go to a playoff game.
I guess I think of being jittery or jitters as like nervousness, but maybe not. That might be right. Bo, how are you doing?
I'm good. I guess jittery. It's weird being jittery in January, right? This is the first time I'm feeling it just a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, football's on right now. And it means something. So no, I'm doing good, man. For once, the technical issue wasn't on this end, so I'm pretty thrilled about that. But good to be here. Good to see you guys. Happy to be here. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for showing up. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for waiting. Let's get going.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. Looks like the chat's filling up here. We got Cole and Big Doug and Laney and John C. and Carol. Looks like Carol's in here. What's up, Carol?
Yeah, like 3 cups of coffee, John. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think I saw Janet was in here. Not sure if Janet's still here with us or not. I don't know if she who all waited through the technical difficulties.
That was a delay and a half.
Dude, it's the program we use to do this thing. It's like everything else. They update it and then it doesn't work as good, and it's changed around and does it. I don't know. They ought to call these things down dates, but I digress. We are 2 days away, right? 3 days away, depending on how you want to count the days, away from the Chiefs taking on the Houston Texans at Arrowhead Stadium in the divisional round of the playoffs. We are in the postseason. The Chiefs, after a week off, 2 or 3 weeks for some of the players, getting ready to go at it, man, and defend their title as back-to-back Super Bowl champions, going for the first ever Three-Peat. We don't have a Chiefs game last week to talk about, so we're just going to get right into the game Saturday at Arrowhead. Kind of before we think about matchups and players to watch and whatnot, I'd like to see how the chat's feeling, how confident they are, how they're feeling about the game against the Texans. Bo, how are you feeling, man, about this game coming up?
I feel pretty good. Watching the games this past weekend, Nick had a quote I'm going to steal from him in our group chat. There's nothing from the two teams that I saw that really frightened me, right? There's a couple of things that give me the jitters a little bit, but nothing too crazy I think we can't overcome. The Texans, their defense, man, they looked really strong. Now, it was against the Chargers that were completely beat up. And we were talking about this last week, how the Chargers going to charger. If that's how they're going to lose their game, and that's exactly what they did. Justin Herbert just, I don't know, I guess was seeing ghosts out there. Had, I don't know, 3-4 interceptions, as many sacks. It was just a terrible game for him. But so it's hard to say that if for me, I don't feel like the Texans really won that game. I feel like the Chargers lost that game, so that gives me a lot of hope going into this weekend for sure. Going like, all right, we've done this before. We know what to do. So feeling really good. What about you, Nick?
Yeah. I feel confident. I like this is exactly the position you want to be in. You want to be playing the lowest seed at home in the divisional round of the playoffs. And you're right. Watching especially that first half of the game, you feel like if that's how the Texans are going to come out and play. You got to love the Chiefs' chances
Right.
the game, right? I mean, they had a couple of turnovers and to start the game, and then the Chargers only got 6 points. So the Chiefs just need to be on attack mode. I don't think we're going to be seeing Patrick Mahomes with the stat line that includes 4 interceptions. He's played
right.
several of these, and he's only he's never thrown an interception in the round. So I like our odds. I think the team is going to be rested. I think they're going to be focused. That this is what they've been building towards this whole off season and this whole season. We talked about it on multiple shows. I mean, right after they won that back-to-back, that was the very first thing. It's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce said that 3 was always the goal, right? But you got to get to 2 before you get to 3. And so I think that everybody's focus is right. And you gotta like our odds with a Patrick Mahomes that is motivated, knowing that this is the shot, right? So I feel good going in.
Yeah, I'm feeling real confident, man. The Chiefs, they handled this team pretty easily. Feels like not too long ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, right?
Bo talked about the defense, and I mean, they looked good against the Chargers, but a couple of those interceptions, at least one of them was just a really bad drop. The last one was a heave, right, when the game was basically over, and Justin Herbert was kind of
desperation throw.
Hail Mary. Yeah, it was a desperation throw.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of the plays he made were bad, and it was a good play by the defense, but I don't know. You go back the last month of the season, and when the Chiefs played them and when the Ravens played them, those were 2 fairly easy wins. A really easy win for the Ravens. I mean, they stomped them at home on Christmas Day, the Ravens did. So, look, I don't know how much I'm reading into the game against the Chargers. The Chargers had them down for the majority of the first half of that game, right?
Yeah.
The Chargers defense was kind of locking them down, their offense. So, yeah, I'm not worried about the kind of, I don't know if you want to call it blowout fashion. There was a weird blocked extra point returned for a 2-point conversion when the Chargers were getting ready to make that like a 1-score game. So, I'm not really letting that influence away. I feel about the Texans. I feel like the Chiefs, they're a pretty good favorite. They're at home. They've been rested up. So I feel, I don't want to say like overly confident. It's still a division-winning team, and it's still the playoffs and the whole any given Sunday factor. But, yeah, I feel real good. Nick, what is it about the Texans maybe that gives you the most amount of worry, even if it's not a lot?
I think you saw CJ Stroud in his playmaking ability. The play where he fumbled the snap there, picked it up, scrambled, still completed a pass downfield.
Right.
Those are the things that you see, and you're like, all right, this kid can ball, right? This kid can play. He's not going to get too frazzled by the moment. He's now played in, this will be his 4th playoff game, and he's 2-1. So I think that really just he's got a little bit of experience, and I think it's going to rest on his shoulders on whether or not they can do this. Their defense is strong. I'm not as concerned about their defense because I think that we put up a pretty good showing against them. I think the Chiefs could have scored more than, I think we put 27 up that last match. Right. So it's really going to be Are they feeling more comfortable? Is he over some of the things that, with Tank Dell getting injured, right? Have they figured some things out in their offense with their new pieces here, and can he make plays? That's the thing that would worry me,
Right.
if anything.
Bo, if anything, has you maybe somewhat concerned or slightly concerned about the Texans?
Slightly concerned is like even an overstatement. I'm not really too concerned. I don't want to like say like I'm not concerned about the Texans at all. But like as you just mentioned, we kind of handled them pretty easily a couple of weeks ago. There's no reason that we shouldn't do it again. I think we're 8.5, 9-point favorites going into this game. It's Andy Reid coming off of a bye week. But if I was to be concerned about anything, looking back at last week, it would be just, everybody's healthy on our team. So it's hard to be like, ooh, I'm really concerned about this part on our team. But I mean, if there's been like a through line for the season, it's been the tackle play, obviously on the O-line. Yeah. And so the Texans looked really good at getting to Herbert, right? They had 3 or 4 sacks. He was under duress pretty much the entire game, or half of it at least. So I mean, if I'm concerned about anything, that would be the same thing I'd be concerned about. How much of our tackles healed up? How much have they been able to study and get some good knowledge in their repertoire for the upcoming game? But yeah, that's kind of my concern. What about you?
Maybe their pass rush, right? I mean, that kind of is like bigger picture of what you were just talking about with the tackle play. The Chiefs, they've struggled. It's no secret to protect Patrick this year. He's probably seen the most amount of pressures and sacks at any point since he's been with the Chiefs. They do have some good pass rushers on their defensive line. But Patrick is like Houdini, right? He escapes pressure. You rarely see a pass rusher get to him and catch him by surprise. I feel like we saw that a lot, man. Like when I was watching these wild card games, guys getting hit from the blind side and just have no idea that it's coming and lose the ball.
There were a ton.
How often do you see that happen to Patrick Mahomes? Never, once in a blue moon. So I just feel like they can sit back and say, okay, look, maybe we're gonna go and focus on chipping guys. That's the one part of the defense that can really get to us, right, and cause us a bad day and give us some heartache is the pass rush. So focus on that. Maybe put some extra attention on that to slow that down. And after that, look, the Chiefs, they are the better team in every facet of the game. So maybe the pass rush getting to them and getting some sacks maybe gives me a little bit of pause. But we didn't see that in this last matchup, did we? I mean, do you guys remember a lot of pressure getting to Patrick in that Texans game?
Ish, they had a couple of plays. Yeah, they had a couple of plays, but it wasn't like constant duress. I remember them keeping it like fairly close, just for my PTSD fandom to be like, man, it's within a point or two or a score or two, so I get nervous. But no, I mean, not too crazy like you're talking about.
Nick, do you recall them? I mean, it really wasn't an issue, right?
No, I think that that was the game where they'd moved Tooney out to left tackle, and
right.
He performed well, right? Another thing, I guess, to switch topic slightly, if you like, something that makes me nervous is when you start seeing like a bunch of people saying things like the Chiefs are going to blow the Texans out. This is the last practice of the year. Nick Wright said that on his show. Scott, I thought Justin Reed said something to a fan that tweeted at him that I thought was pretty funny. He was just like, tweeted at the "ooh, I'm scared," gif and stuff. Those things can help motivate a team. Now, it's not going to make them, better, overall, but it may help with their focus. And also just, I don't know, maybe it's just like Bo said, the old Chiefs fans and me, like seeing us come off a bye week and not perform well. When I start seeing those, like, every national media person talking about the Chiefs are going to handle this game, they're going to blow the Texans out, this isn't even a game really, this is a practice, like those things start to make me like feel kind of, I don't know, nervous or concerned about the game. So
yeah, I mean, bulletin board material can be motivating, especially if you're like a big underdog, and you've seen the Chiefs use that angle, right? Like the whole world's against us, and last year they were underdogs in the 2 playoff games on the road and then in the Super Bowl. And Patrick Mahomes famously said, the Chiefs are never underdogs. Just believe that. So, yeah, some bulletin board material could be out there. I really put more stock into that when it's someone on the team, the Justin Reed, where it's like, we're coming for you. And he's like, whoa, like I guarantee you Andy Reid said something to him at some point. I want to say that he did the same thing. What was it, last year? Or was it 2 seasons ago? I can't remember. He went back and forth. Maybe it was with some of the Bengals players or whatever. And then you saw like later in the week, he like pulled that back, right? And was like, oh no, they're a good team. And so yeah, I think that definitely can be real. When it comes from outside places, though, that aren't from the team, I don't know that it makes as big of an impact, but it certainly can. Let's go to the other side of the coin. What are you expecting, or what do you think is going to be the best showing or the Chiefs' biggest strength against the Texans on Saturday? Let's go to Bo.
Yeah, sure. It's going to be awesome having, like I was mentioning before, everybody healthy. I think every single person practiced that you'd ever heard of on our team. The joke last week was like, if you had their jersey, they probably weren't playing, right? So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to having all of our weapons out there and like really bringing our A game, especially defensive wise, man. Like I'm really looking forward to see what the guys are going to do up front. When you put Chris Jones in the mix, he usually takes 2 bodies away from the line, right? So, our line was kind of feasting the past 2 games anyway without him. So I'm really curious to see what that looks like. Our coverage with McDuffie out there and Watson's supposed to be back, and just, everybody's back. So I'm just full strength, super excited to see these guys, as Doug was put the pedal to the metal. Like let's go out there and like make a statement for ourselves. Like everybody's kind of been shitting on us all year for not being able to blow teams out of the water. I'd really like to see that come together, both defensively and offensively. I'd like to see the offense come together. We have all of our weapons, man. And when you think about that, for me, when I think about it, it's just awesome. We have D-Hop, Brown, and Xavier Worthy as our starting receivers, right? Oh, and then we have Travis Kelce, just this little tight end in there. And then don't forget about Noah Gray, Justin Watson, Mecole Hart, everybody. I'm excited that we're back to full strength and should see some really good football, hopefully.
Nick, what has you feeling the best about the Chiefs?
First of all, I see Fred's out there with Big Doug, so give a shout out to Fred. But thanks for watching the show.
Freddie.
Bo said it. I think that you're seeing kind of the full power of this receiving core. You're going to have fresh legs with these guys. I'll say also, now you've had like Kareem Hunt's been beat up a lot this season, and now he's going to have 2 or 3 weeks to kind of let his body recover, but he's still in game shape. So I think you're going to see kind of the best version of what Kareem Hunt has left. This is his first playoff game that he's played with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and and I think he's going to take every opportunity that he gets out there and make the most out of it. So I think you could see a couple of exciting plays come out of Kareem Hunt here.
Yeah, to me, I think the Chiefs defense is going to come out and make a statement, right? Look, at this point, Tank Dell's out. I know Nico Collins is their number 1 wide receiver, but outside of him, I don't know what else they have. The Chiefs' specialty, right, the strength of their defense this year has been stuffing the run. So I think if you come out there and you make it a long day on Joe Mixon and the running game and make them one-dimensional and make them go out there and pass with the depleted wide receiving core, I think that plays right into the Chiefs' strength in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, look, I know it'd be great, and we want to see him come out and put the hammer down, as Mitch likes to say, on offense and score a bunch of points. I think that's going to be even easier to do if the Texans' offense isn't putting up points, right? It's easy to get out to a big lead if you are holding the other team to like 7 points. We've seen the Chiefs shut out teams a bunch here the last handful of weeks and a half, right? Go scoreless against the opposition in the first or the second half. So I think the defense coming out and putting the hammer down and putting the screws to the Texans' offense, which has kind of struggled. Look, they scored 9 points on their defense basically last week in special teams. They also had a drive where I want to say they got maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 yards on a drive and kicked a field goal.
Right.
The Ravens defense was able to kind of give them a hard time. So I think they're struggling offensively, and with the way the Chiefs defense has played this year, especially these last few weeks, getting a healthy Chris Jones back, getting some of these guys rested, a George Karlaftis, a Trent McDuffie healthy out there and rested. I think it's going to be a long day for the Houston offense. So, look, if you can get out and you can get like a 24, 26-point lead, that's a lot easier to do when the other teams maybe score nothing or kicking field goals. So I really like the Chiefs' defense in this game. I think that they're going to come out and make life hard on the Texans' offense. You guys both mentioned the offense being at full strength. Bo, who are you looking at maybe you think has a breakout, a big game against the Texans?
Oof, man, it's hard to say. Nick was kind of like alluding to the run game, right? But I'm going to go on the other half of that and be Isaiah Pacheco, right? Like a guy that's, he got back, got into game form, got the feel back, and now, dude, like coming off a bye week, I'm just so stoked that we have Andy Reid as a head coach, man. Like that guy knows how to game plan. He knows what to do. And having that 1-2 punch of Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco is just, to me, I mean, we've seen it. They're not breaking out for 60, 70-yard runs, right? But they're good enough to pop 30, 40 off at a time, and they keep defenses really honest. And I'm just excited to see what they do. I'm actually super excited to see P. Ryan, too. What he's been able to do catching balls out of the back has been amazing. And like I've been a big fan of that. I'd like to see more of that. But yeah, the run game, I'm really thinking that's going to pop off, just because I think everybody's like, I'm stoked to see, like I was talking about the receiving core and how stacked it is. I think that's what everybody's game planning for. And it wouldn't surprise me if Andy Reid and company just kind of stuck to a ground game this game and really kept them a little confused on what we're trying to do. So,
Nick, how about you, man? Who has a big day for the Chiefs?
Yeah, so Ladd McConkey had like 9 catches for 196 yards against this defense. I know that one of those was like an 86-yard pass, but I mean, if they're having a hard time with him, I'm thinking number 1, Xavier Worthy. If we can connect, can get behind this defense and have a big game. I'm looking at him to come out. It's going to be his first playoff game. Mahomes wants to connect on some of these deep balls that they missed. So that's who I'm going with.
Just need him to break a tackle, though.
Right.
Yeah. If he gets behind everybody, he doesn't need to break tackles.
Right.
That's true. Right.
Yeah. I think we saw a little bit of like a sneak peek of what Travis Kelce is going to do in the playoffs, right? He didn't play that last week. And the second to last week against the Steelers, he looked like old Travis Kelce, right? And he was out there getting open, finding holes in the zone. He's rested up. If you've watched New Heights here the last couple of weeks, he's been talking about how good he feels. And I just feel like not only the rest, but at this point in his career, he's got to be holding and saving some back for when the games really matter. And now that you're in the postseason, man, the games don't get any bigger and don't matter any more than when it's win or go home. So I think you see Travis Kelce, maybe he's been drinking from the fountain of youth a little bit or something here this game, man. You saw a little bit of it against the Steelers, and then they kind of shut that down, and they had that game in hand. And then he didn't play the last week with the 1 seed wrapped up. So I'm expecting Travis Kelce. There you go.
Sorry,
Cole.
it's for the chat there. Everybody's blowing up Worthy right there.
Right. Carroll's looking for a big game out of Worthy here. So yeah, no, that's not a bad pick. I almost wanted to go back to my my D-Hop pick, right? The revenge factor. I picked him the last time they played, and
might be a good pick. I mean, I don't see him having a quiet game.
Man, crushed me in fantasy, that performance. I wasn't too terrible, but I was definitely expecting more out of D-Hop against the old team. But I think you've seen with now that it's come out about the Chiefs, they've limited what they had to give up, right? In the trade by having him under a certain percentage of the snaps and out there on the field. I think maybe you're going to see him unleashed too. And now that they don't have to worry about maybe keeping him on a pitch count, saving him for the postseason, and they don't have to worry about where that draft pick that they're giving up for him in the trade comes in, I think you're going to see maybe him get even more involved than he was in the regular season.
Sure, yeah.
Who else? I mean, is there a guy on defense you got your eye on, Nick? I mean, Chris Jones and George Karlaftis maybe got some time off to rest and get healed up?
Yeah, I think Chris Jones not on the injury report at all, full participant at practice. I think you're going to see him have a couple of devastating plays in this game. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a cheat code going with old 95, but I'll take it. I'll take the
Right.
easy one, the low hanging fruit.
No,
Yeah,
look,
dude, Nick.
that's not a bad pick.
No, that's a great pick. I was gonna say my man Nick Bolton. He's probably gonna have
Yeah.
himself a game. He always has himself a game in some way, shape, or
Right.
form. He's always out there doing something. I think he's only had like 2 games where it's been like I'd give him like a C, but other than that, that guy is coming through clutch this year, and I wouldn't expect any less of him in this game.
Yeah, especially if Houston's trying to run the ball and they're trying to get Joe
Right.
Mixon going and maybe try to play that. Well, how many times have we heard, well, the formula to beat the Chiefs is run the ball and shorten the game? Maybe more so the last year or two, but the formula has been you got to be able to outscore the Chiefs. And we were talking about who we're expecting to show up and show out and maybe have a big game on the offense. Like, I think you're going to start seeing, too, some things, right? Andy Reid always holds some stuff back for the playoffs.
He does,
And you see some new material out there. Nick, how much has Andy been holding back, and how much do you think he lets it fly against the Texans?
Yeah, I think that you're going to see some designs for D-Hop that they've been holding back for sure. I think that they wanted to make sure that I don't think that Andy Reid is sitting there going, man, D-Hop could really win this game for us right now, but I don't want to give up that. I don't want his draft.
I don't know, man.
So maybe they said, hey, try to limit it. But I think they're more trying to keep him fresh for the postseason, right? I think that they're looking at and saying, okay, so we got him, we're winning games. We're in a good spot here. And so I think now you're going to see some stuff opening up for him. So I would look to see, some hotness go his way in the offense this week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Trent McDuffie, right? Throw him on Nico Collins. They're going to be throwing to Nico Collins with
they're going to have to
out. He kind of started like a little bit of that bloodlust, right, for the interceptions, right? He had never had one in his career, and then he got one in back-to-back weeks, and then they kind of shut him down there, and he didn't play the last week. So I bet he's itching to get out there, and he's got a taste for the interception now. So I'm looking forward to Trent McDuffie out there and locking down their number one wide receiver and making life tough on him and getting some turnovers, right? I mean, turnovers, the Chiefs had swung that in their favor. How do you think
significantly?
Right. I mean, how big is that going to be, Bo? Do you think for the Chiefs, maybe getting plus 1 or 2 in the turnover margin there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the stats are, but they're extremely favorable for the team that has the positive record of the turnover differential, right? But going back to like play design for a minute, I was actually thinking about that today. I was like, how much do you reveal during this game, right? Because like you kind of still got to play your cards a little close to the chest. You can't just come out with your best plays, get them out on tape. Everybody knows what you're trying to do in certain situations, right?
Yeah.
We saw Andy Reid bust out Rose Bowl parade in the Super Bowl. Like that's how long he held that play for, right? You didn't see it I'm sure they practiced it, but like you didn't see it in training camp. You didn't see it in any other game. Like he waited that long for it. So he's definitely sitting on some plays. It's just how quickly do you release those, right? Like, obviously if you go down a little bit, you're going to start firing some of them off. But even then, like, do you just show all your cards and like, here we go, stop this? Or, that guy's not going to do that. He's been pretty conservative his whole life. But no, yeah. But going back to the defense, how beneficial is it going to be getting some turnovers early? Like insanely beneficial. That's been the one thing that I feel like has killed us the most this year is when we either don't get turnovers or we commit more turnovers, right? And when we were able to eliminate those from when we're able to eliminate our ability from turning it over, and we were actually able to take it away from the team, the team looked unstoppable. That's when everybody started going like, "Oh, this team is kind of for real. Yeah, they're going to three-peat." You started seeing people going like, "Yep, they're three-peating. This is the Chiefs."
It's over.
Look, I think that played into a lot of the close one-score games that the Chiefs won a record amount this year, and people were like, "Chiefs don't blow anybody out." Well, they're winning by 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, and they're -2 in the turnover battle. Like, you get that evened up, or you get that on your side, and I think you saw that start to play to the Chiefs' advantage. So those last games, they went on a stretch here where they were like 10-0, right? They had gotten 10 turnovers and hadn't given it up once, and in almost like overnight went from being negative in the turnover differential to positive in the turnover differential, and the games looked a lot easier, and the Chiefs were winning more comfortably once you saw that happen. Nick, you think the Chiefs can force some turnovers? I know C.J. Stroud, he had, 2 interceptions in the first game? You think that trend continues and the Chiefs take the ball away?
Yeah, I think that, Spags is really good at disguising things. I think that they've been playing, vanilla on defense, trying to hold some of these, the players have even said, yeah, we've got some like exotic blitzes and stuff that nobody's seen yet. And so I think you're going to see them, CJ Stroud, he's not a rookie anymore, right? He's in his second year, but he's still a relatively young quarterback. And I think that they're going to be able to confuse him and get him to get off his mark, and turn the ball over. I would expect that we're going to see at least two turnovers from the Texans in this game.
Yeah, it looks like in the chat, Laney wants to see some Mahomes magic return. You're going to see that in the playoffs. Playoff Patrick, if you haven't seen the numbers that have been going around in his career in the divisional round and then the playoffs overall in general, I mean, the guy's basically had an MVP season when you add up his playoff games together. He's played 18 playoff games, a 15-3 record. He's got like 5,800 total yards.
And that's with getting the bye week usually.
Right.
You know what I mean? One season without the bye week.
Right. 40-something touchdowns to single-digit turnovers, interceptions. He's insane. He's number one in all these metrics. With a win against the Texans, he will pass Joe Montana to place himself second all-time in playoff wins for a quarterback.
I love it, but I hate it, but I love it.
Yeah, it's killing Bo a little bit there. The old Joe Montana fan. If you don't know, Bo was a big Joe Montana fan as a kid, even when he was with the Niners. And that's what brought him to Chiefs Kingdom, right, Bo?
Yep. He got traded. I had to follow my boy Joe, right?
And follow him, and then he just.
Then it was followed by like 30 years of misery, and now it's the good life though. Now it's the good life. I'm no complaints. I'll take it.
Totally redeem yourself.
Right, worth the wait. Worth the wait for sure. So, yeah, man. I don't know if we can bring the poll up if you guys want to do that or not. We put out there on the Chiefs Kingdom Live X account. The weekly poll is wanting to gauge how Chiefs Kingdom was feeling about this game against the Texans. There was a lot of discussion going into Wild Card Weekend because the Chiefs weren't playing on who do you think is the best matchup, and it was pretty much consensus. People were either the Steelers or the Texans were the two teams that Chiefs Kingdom felt like was, I don't know if I want to say the easiest or the easier, but the most favorable matchup for the divisional round. It turns out it was the Texans. A lot of people were expecting the Chargers to beat Houston. They were a road favorite. If you were on social media or watching the experts on TV, everybody was predicting the Chargers were going to take down the Texans and be coming to Arrowhead. Not so much. So we're just kind of wanting to gauge the temperature here, kind of get the pulse of Chiefs Kingdom, and pretty much overwhelmingly there, everybody is feeling really, really, really good about this matchup.
7% must be Texans fans.
Yeah, that was a Texans fan or two, or someone like Nick that still gets nervous and worries about the playoff games. There's people talking about that. Is it too early to get nervous about the game? I'm not too nervous at all.
I'm excited. I'm not like nervous. I'm just really excited. I'm like ready.
I'm not like worried that we're gonna lose. I don't think we're gonna lose. You just get jittery, man. It's like this.
Right.
These are the games that matter, you know.
Right.
What's the temperature supposed to be next week? Aren't you guys supposed to get into like the negatives this week? Is it supposed to hold there? Like, do you guys know?
No, I don't know. They've been. It's been changing so much. I never really look at the weather too much. Like more than a couple days out.
I heard you guys getting that polar vortex kind of thing. You might be looking at a Rice Bowl repeat.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to start like next week, though. I think they were saying like the mid to high 20s for kickoff on Saturday. But then, yes, Sunday and Monday, it was looking like you might have some of that insanely cold weather coming in. So,
okay.
Pretty much everybody in the poll there is feeling like as good as you can feel, right? Going into a playoff game. You guys feel a bit better about this matchup than you did maybe with a matchup against the Chargers, Bo? I mean, did that is this the better go for the Chiefs and the Chargers, you think?
Yeah, I think so, man. Facing a divisional opponent in the playoffs that just sounds gut-wrenching a little bit, right? Just that doesn't sound like a good combo. It is always hard to beat a team twice in the same season, but when you kind of hand it to them handedly, it's not too big of a concern looking back, right? Like, I think they know the game plan. I think they know what works, what doesn't work. A benefit to being back-to-back Super Bowl champions is when you play somebody, they're giving you their all, right? And we're still, like I was saying, like kind of holding our cards to the chest a little bit. Like, we wanted to win that game, obviously, secure the 1 seed, but we're not game planning like this is our Super Bowl quite yet. So it'll be interesting to see how we come out and approach it. But I think, yeah, we're fine. I think we got it. They have all the confidence they need. They have all the tape they need. And as Nick was alluding to, CJ Stroud being in his sophomore year, I kind of feel like he had a bit of a sophomore slump. He wasn't the crazy CJ Stroud of his rookie year. And I said at the top of the hour, I don't really feel like the Texans won that last game more so than the Chargers lost it. Obviously, a W is a W. You can't say that. But, I think everything's in our favor right now.
Yeah, with turnovers and mistakes, the Chargers definitely shot themselves in the foot. Nick, Chiefs, they dodged bullet by Houston taking out the Chargers for them?
Me too, John C. Me too, man.
Not by the way the Chargers played. I mean, hell, you'd take that team every day of the week, wouldn't you? If you could play that the way the Chargers played. I'm not gonna say they dodged a bullet. Sean Payton, I guess he, super weird energy, came out and was saying that, we felt really good about the next opponent if we had won this game. It's like, well, you maybe should have focused on doing something more in that game against the Bills, because I mean, after you scored a touchdown, it was just kind of like over, right? They're like, woo, we scored a touchdown, we can go home.
Sean Payton and the Broncos got exposed, and we talked about this on this show, and if you follow us on our social media, we had posted out there that, look, the Chargers and the Broncos, you get the division opponent angle in the playoffs, and they know you, they're more familiar with you, but those teams hadn't beaten anybody all year, right? I mean, they had 3 or 4 wins against winning teams. One of those wins was the Broncos beating the Chiefs backups in that game, where it was clearly that the Chiefs were not showing anything and we're not playing any of the key starters. And then 2 of them were the Chargers beating the Broncos and like rock fight, nail biting games where it came down to the wire. Those 2 teams got exposed in the playoffs when playoff time came around, and they both got sent home early. And we'll see Sean Payton, what they do next year. Maybe when they have to play a little bit tougher record and play a few more teams with a winning record, we'll see how they look. But I saw the comments that you said, like they felt really good about playing the Chiefs. I mean, I don't know how you could feel good about playing the.
You should have worried about getting there more, but no. You asked the question: did we dodge a bullet? Look, it's a favorable matchup, right? This is a team that doesn't know us as well. They do have a younger quarterback, so I would. It's look, when you're the 1 seed, you're going to get the favorable matchup no matter who it is. It's much better than Baltimore and the Bills, right? Getting that card. We went through that last year where we had to go through the Bills and then go through the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, and so you did your job during the regular season, and now you get to play the easier team. So you got an easier road. You get to do it at home. So, I'm happy with the matchup. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and kind of like getting back to this earlier, we didn't mention this, or I was going to bring this up, but I mean, I know, feel like some people, or Bo had mentioned it with them winning, right, and kind of winning big. Are they riding a wave into Arrowhead? Look, the similar thing, we talked about this on last week's show. A similar thing kind of happened last year, right? The Browns got on a winning streak, and Joe Flacco had turned back the clock and looked like his Super Bowl winning days. He had kind of like revived his career with the Browns, and they won a bunch of games going into the playoffs, and they were going to go on the road and play the Texans, who had won their division, but they'd won a weak division and maybe hadn't been playing great, and everybody was kind of expecting the Browns to go in and take care of the Texans, and the Texans whipped them at home. And that kind of played out again, right? But then what happened the next week? when the Texans went and played the Ravens in the divisional round. They got rolled by the Ravens in that divisional round playoff game.
Right.
So a big, easy win against the Chargers. I see how that can maybe lift their spirits and maybe put some little bit of wind in their sails. But this is we're almost seeing like an exact repeat of what happened with the Texans last year. And they came in the divisional round and were really not much of a match for the Baltimore Ravens. So, yeah, feeling about as good as we can going into this game. Confidence levels high, feeling good. It's score prediction time. We want to do some score predictions before we talk about maybe some of these wild card weekend games and how we see games this weekend going. If you're watching live in the chat, make sure you throw your score prediction up here. Who wants to go first this week?
Go, Bo. You're on mute.
Bo's muted.
I was gonna go first till I was muted. No,
You still go
yeah,
first.
I can go first. No, I really feel like, dude, we're at full strength. Everything's in our favor. We're at home. If we can play complimentary football and not commit stupid mistakes, there's no reason we finally can't break that 30-point mark. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say 34-17. Oh yeah, that's how I'm feeling about this game.
Double up the Texans, 34-17.
And Paco, tell me which games the refs won. I'd love to have that discussion with you.
Yeah, we saw Paco in the chat there. Glad you're here. Thanks for coming in. Make sure you subscribe and like the show. We really appreciate it.
Troll views still count as views. So
Yeah, for sure. And hey, man, I mean, I'd rather have the refs with you than the refs against you, for sure. Nick, you got a score prediction ready?
yeah. I'm gonna go Chiefs 30, Texans 20.
30-20. I'm liking
Get some ass weapons in there.
I'm liking that. Yeah, look, I think the Chiefs are in for a big win. They're rested. They are. I mean, they're not going to pull all the rabbits out of the hat, right, and show everything. But there is a little bit to be said about, like, you don't want to show all your cards, but if you show a couple new cards in this game against the Texans, that just adds something new that whatever team you're playing in the next round is going to have to prepare for. So.
Right.
I think you see them pull a little bit of some tricks out of the bag. Probably not the biggest tricks, but I think the Chiefs' defense is going to play really, really well against the Texans. So give me a Chiefs win. I'm going 30-13. I think the Chiefs.
All right.
The Texans are going to have a hard time scoring points against the Chiefs' defense. Man, they're locked and loaded and rested.
That's what Chris Rubio said earlier. 30-13 would be an awesome.
There we go.
Outcome. Going for
Chris,
it. Huh?
So yeah, we'll take it.
We just read the chat. And we take your guys' ideas and we just pretend like they're ours.
Yeah, looks like
we're actually just AI.
Cole's going 30-21. I was hoping
Daryl 30-7.
He did the whole $1 Bob on my score. Huh?
Bo, I was hoping you were gonna go with the 50 burger like the last time the Chiefs played the Texans. And
dude,
we run out of fireworks again. Could we?
Right.
I feel like the boy who cried wolf with the 50 burger. The boy who cried 50
Yeah.
burger. It's just a hope now.
Right.
And if it does happen, join our show. I'll buy you a cheeseburger.
Right.
But oh man.
Yeah. Those who don't remember the Chiefs, last time they played the Texans, they got down 24-0. And if you watch Brandon Perna on That's Good Sports, he was talking about like the game. Did you see that? I don't know if you guys saw it this week. And he's like, if you're the Texans, definitely don't get out to a 24-0 halftime lead against the Chiefs. That's not a good game plan. He was being a little bit of a hater too, picking the Chiefs to lose to the Texans, and he had him as like ranked like his remaining playoff power rankings. He had him as the 666 team, right? The Devil Magic. I don't think the Devil Magic runs out this week. I don't know how much Devil Magic the Chiefs need in this game against the Texans, but yeah, everybody in the chat's feeling comfortable, confident. We're feeling confident. Looking forward to being out there at Arrowhead. Let's talk some other playoff news here before we get out of here. What did you guys think about Wild Card Weekend, man? I mean, really, no good games. Anything to take out of that, Nick, that stands out to you?
Man, what a fucking dud that weekend of games was.
Right.
Yeah,
it's almost like they shouldn't have a 7th seed or something, right?
The 7th seed is garbage.
I took some joy in watching the Broncos and the Chargers get pounded in the playoffs.
Yeah,
get
there's
sent
that.
packing, get taking it on the chin. But yeah, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Yeah, no. My major takeaway was that they should go back to the old format and get rid of the 7 seed.
Right.
The Bills. Somebody was talking about how the Bills had been in like 4 or 5 of those 2 seed spots, right? Where they basically they played the 7 seed almost every year, and so
right.
I mean, not only does that make Josh Allen's wild card statistics make a little bit more sense, but yeah, look, they should give that team a bye. Like, if you get the number 1 or the number 2 seed, you're playing a different schedule. Like, those teams should earn a bye. They should go back to it. And the other thing that really kind of stood out to me was like, it's a 3-team race in the AFC, right? I mean, like, look, the Texans could win this game. Things could happen, right? But really, it's like the Ravens, the Bills, and the Chiefs in the AFC. And then the other thing that stood out to me in the NFC was like, aside from really Matt Stafford, they don't really have the quarterback talent there in the NFC just is such a step below what they've got going on in the AFC right now. It is it is crazy. So yeah, those were my takeaways from Wildcard Weekend.
Bo?
Yeah, the biggest standout to me is like, it's kind of just beating a dead horse here. It's just the blowouts. Like, why do we even have that 7th seed? I think out of the 10 or 12 games or whatever it is that there's been a 7th seed, they've lost 96% of the time. I think there's been 1 game that's been won from the 7th seed, right? And so it's just hard to watch. I mean, you just know it. I mean, all the odds makers, Vegas, they all have it. Blowout. And you're like, yeah. And so there was 1 game, I think it was last year. I think that was the game that the 7th seed won. It was the Packers. But it's just, you kind of know what to expect going into this weekend. And it's nice for us. It's stress-free football. And you kind of, like you said, you get to watch some rivals get kicked out. But yeah, just not exciting football for me.
Yeah. Man, it was painful watching Sam Darnold the last 2 weeks. How much money that guy cost himself. I'm looking, if you're a Vikings fan, that's like the best case scenario. You did not need the team like fooling themselves into thinking that they needed to keep him, right? I mean, you got the rookie that you drafted.
That's a good point.
In the first round. So, I mean, that's tough now, but maybe that's probably the best thing to happen to them. And I don't know, man. Like, you look at the NFC, the Eagles, the Packers, man, I don't know. We'll see what the Lions look like and their playoff game. They're going to have their hands full with the Commanders, man. Look, Jaden Daniels is played really, really well, especially for a rookie. But I think their offense can give the Lions defense some trouble. And the Commanders defense didn't look too bad against, I'm not going to say one of the best teams in the NFL, one of the best offenses, but Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Bucky Irving, man, that team had some playmakers on it, and they were able to shut down that offense. So I'm not going to pick the Commanders to win, obviously, but I think they could give them some trouble. But, yeah, look, we talk about this again, when the Chiefs played the Bills a few years ago, they were like, man, they should have just made that the Super Bowl, right? It's too bad the Bills and the Chiefs aren't in. One of them's not in the NFC. I didn't see anything out of the NFC teams in the wild card round that made me worry about playing any of them. Should the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl there in New Orleans and go for the three-peat, man, I've got here in my this countdown, right? There's 3 games to go. Let's go 3, 2, 1 for the three-peat. These next 2 games, just get to the Super Bowl, man. I'll take my chances with the Eagles or the Rams or one of these teams, man. I'll take that all day. So
any of them.
And what's the over/under on poor coaching decisions / 4th down attempts in that Lions versus Commanders game?
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I just could not believe some of the decisions. It's like, man, just take the points, man. You could have the lead, but
right. You kind of get it. You understand how cutthroat.
Well, see you later.
Bo's internet.
I don't know what happened there. Hey, I'm back. Yeah, it's cutthroat league. You just sometimes you never know if you need the points or not. But man, in the moment, you're just like, take the points, man. Come on, what are we doing here?
Yep. Cole pointed out the fact our first Super Bowl was in New Orleans. That's a good point there, man. I'd kind of forgotten that. So, yeah, look, they're gonna if they're gonna get there, man. Like this next game or two is gonna be the stretch, and like the AFC Championship to me is almost like that's gonna be like the Super Bowl again. Like those two teams playing. I think whichever team out of the three, the Chiefs, the Bills, or the Ravens make it, I almost feel like they got to be a shoe. And maybe not. Maybe the Lions. We haven't seen the Lions. They didn't participate well, and they look really. They kicked the Vikings' ass. So in that last game, they're gonna get rested. They can get some guys healthy. It's gonna be good to see. The matchup of the weekend, though, is the Bills and the Ravens. We got to talk about that, right? Be interested to see what the chat thinks here. Let's go around the horn here. Let's see here. Who do you think is going to win, and who do you want to win for the Chiefs? Like, who would you rather face in the AFC Championship game should the Chiefs make it there? And who do you think they will play? Nick, you can go first.
Yeah, so I think the Ravens are going to win. I think the Bills' defense, still has some holes in it. It got exposed on the first drive, and then they tightened up, but they were against a rookie quarterback in his first playoff game, right? So, I don't think they're going to be able to handle that rushing attack that you saw with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and I think they're going to lose. That said, yeah, give me the Ravens, right? We match up well against them. It's got to be somewhat in Lamar Jackson's head now, right? Like if you got to start having some sort of weird self-doubt things that creep in at a certain point where he's called Patrick Mahomes as kryptonite before, right? They sent you home last year. Now you got to come into Arrowhead. So, the Chiefs have matched up well in an AFC Championship game with Derrick Henry going crazy with all kinds of rushing yards before, right? So it's nothing new. We know that Steve Spagnuolo can handle that. So I would rather take that matchup than Josh Allen, Superman, being able to run all over the field. Personally,
yeah, man, I thought up until last week, I just thought that. I knew the Ravens were going to beat the Steelers and that the Bills were going to beat the Broncos. So I'm kind of thinking about that game here for maybe a week or two now.
Right.
Look, the Ravens, they handled the Bills easily earlier in the year. Now that was in Baltimore, but they beat them by 25 points. But the Ravens, a couple things. Look, they got. I don't know if they took their foot off the pedal. Maybe that had something to do with it. But Russell Wilson and the Steelers, they'd figured some things out in that second half against the Ravens, and they were a long Derrick Henry touchdown stop away from making that a game and making that a one-score contest. In the second half, they outgained them. They outscored them in the second half. Russell Wilson was finding guys open down the field. And then if you watch Lamar Jackson, especially after that game, but in between drives, he was on the sideline, and the athletic trainers were looking him over and rapping him. And after the game, when he was making his way to the booth there, the desk to do the post-game interview, it took him a lot longer than they thought. And he was not moving gingerly after that game was over. If he's hurt, man, I don't know. I would rather face the Ravens myself just because, like you said, Nick, I think they are the better matchup. I think the Chiefs have the formula. They've shown. They've beaten them, 5 of the last 6 games that they've played them. I want to say 5 of those were with Lamar Jackson. The one game was the Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble in field goal range. The Chiefs would have won that game too. I think they've got the formula. Like, you stop the run with Derrick Henry, that becomes a little bit more difficult. But we've seen the Chiefs and Spags and that defense shut down Derrick Henry. AFC Championship game a few years ago when he was with the Titans. He didn't do much against the Chiefs week 1 at Arrowhead to kick off this season. I think the formula and the Chiefs have it is contain Lamar Jackson. Don't let him get out on the edge and beat you with his legs, and make him beat you passing the ball.
Make him throw. Yeah.
Make him throw. And if he can come out and outduel Patrick Mahomes, more power to him. But I don't think the odds of that happening are very good. So I would rather play the Ravens. But right now, with what I saw coming out of that Steelers game and with Lamar Jackson maybe not being 100%, I'm going the Bills. I think the Bills are going to win this game. Bo, how do you see it, man? Who do you want to see, and who do you think they see?
Who do I want to see? I personally, I'm agreeing with you guys. I would want to see the Ravens for all the reasons you guys mentioned. I think we match up well. I think there is that stigma of playoffs around Lamar Jackson playing against Mahomes. I think that is a complete real thing. I think it's in his head. There's been stories about his screensavers and how that doesn't really work out for him.
Right.
But I mean, this game against the Bills, it just kind of depends on which Lamar Jackson comes to form. What I saw during the Steelers game, I thought like, oh, this is typical Lamar. He's going to come out, ball for a half, and then just choke for the second half and lose and be one and done, right? But instead, he played a pretty decent game all game. If he can come out and do that against the Bills, that's a whole different story. Like I think they really can do it. I think Scott was right with talking about the formula, right? If you're able to shut down Derrick Henry and contain Lamar Jackson, they're a bit of a one-trick pony, right? Like they're just a running team in that sense. That's why I think the Bills might win. Like I want to play the Ravens, but I think the Bills might win in that sense that like if you can just do that, they're not that dangerous. Whereas the Bills, dude, that Josh Allen's arm is top notch, right? And he can get it out so fast. Doesn't matter if you blitz him, doesn't matter if you try to play cover 2 or anything. He'll either beat you with his legs or throw a dime and beat you with that. Whereas Lamar's just missing that accuracy aspect of it. And I think that's where the Bills kind of outshine a little bit. But I would love to see the Ravens. If Lamar can come through and play a whole solid game, I think the Ravens can do it though.
So Bo's kind of the same boat I am. He's wanting Ravens, but I'm not going to be surprised by whichever team wins this game.
I'm just hoping for a really good game, right? That's that's what it's stacking up to be, is like one of the games of the year.
I did think it was interesting. The Chiefs are the 3:00 game on Saturday, right? And then the Bills-Ravens, that's the evening game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Chiefs take care of business at home against the Texans. They're going to have an extra day's rest, right? For whoever it is, whichever one of those two teams coming to Arrowhead. I haven't really heard very many people talking about that. That's gonna be a pretty good advantage. Like you got a day's rest and they have to travel. Man, it's lined up so sweet right now for the Chiefs to make it to the Super Bowl and God, to get this three-peat, man. Like I just
got to do our jobs, man, one step at a time.
And man, like here's the deal, like Patrick Mahomes, I just don't see him getting this close to getting a three-peat and not getting it, man. Like the dude just
I know.
He's that guy, right? I mean, I'm feeling super good. Are you guys feeling super confident? I mean, about the Chiefs winning these next 3 games?
I'm really liking our chances, man. I can't state it enough. Being at full strength and letting Patrick Mahomes do his thing with weapons is, as I think, something that we haven't seen all year. I think the league hasn't seen it all year, and they're going to be like, "Whoa, shit! Oh yeah, the Chiefs are a team, right?" And yeah, I'm just as confident as you going into this playoff stretch.
I see Laney in here saying 1 game at a time. Look, I guarantee you the Chiefs are looking at, and the players and the coaches are looking at it 1 game at a time. But
for sure,
as fans here on Chiefs Kingdom Live, man, we can just get a little greedy and look ahead.
We get to speculate a little bit.
A couple games ahead here. Nick, I mean, what's your confidence level right now as the Chiefs are getting ready to start this 3-game run to the Super Bowl in the first ever three-peat?
Yeah, you feel as good as you could possibly feel at this point of the season, right?
Right.
Like you said, for all the reasons you said, I'll add one more. Patrick, during the season, he doesn't take some of the chances running the ball that he does in the postseason. And it adds like another layer to the game where he is a threat with his legs. And you've seen
he's almost a running quarterback in the playoffs.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Right. Like you see him during the season where he'll think about it, or he will take off, then he'll go out of bounds, or he'll slide. He's not doing that shit in the postseason, right? He's like going for broke. And I think that you're going to see that in with all of these weapons, right? And now if he takes off on a couple of runs, now you got to think about spying him, right? So that he doesn't get out. I really feel confident about what this team's going to do in this postseason. You can't feel like, I don't think you can feel more sure, right, of a team than you do about the Chiefs right now, just because of all the situations, right? The Bills and the Ravens are going to beat each other up. You've got the lower seeded game. You're at home, right? You're going to have extra rest. You had 3 weeks off so that, some of the aging core players had plenty of time to get recouped, right? Like, it's all lining up. And so now it's just, are they going to be mentally there, which Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid leading them, leading them, they're mentally going to be prepared.
Yeah.
And it's just, are they going to execute? We've seen the Chiefs come out and have poor playoff performances for the most part. Patrick is able to cover for those. He did in the last Texans divisional game.
Yeah, poor starts anyway. Yeah,
poor starts. So I feel really good. I feel really good about our odds, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that we're definitely going to three-peat, but like, I feel super, super confident.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going Broadway Joe here and guaranteeing that
Right.
anything's going to happen, but like, here's the deal too. Like, it's just, this season has had a feel of like inevitability or destiny to it. The way they've won some of these close games and the ball bouncing their way, and now they're facing the team that they faced in the same round of the playoffs to basically like get the dynasty going in motion. That first playoff run against the Houston Texans at home, fully rested, healthy, ready to go, home field advantage, man. It's the stars almost seem aligned, right?
That with having the bye week in week 6, having to play 3 games in 11 days and like clinching them all. Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like it's all stacked up against us, and we've just been knocking them down one by one.
And then let's also add this, that Mahomes was snubbed for the Pro Bowl.
There's that too,
and didn't make the All-Pro team, right?
Right.
People are saying he had a bad year. Like, so you're gonna get the petty Mahomes in there. Yeah, dude.
Dude, Joe Burrow was considered for MVP over Mahomes. Like, let that sink in for a minute. That's just a next level of disrespect.
Well, at least he'll definitely be able to play or go to the Pro Bowl this year. So,
yeah, right, yeah,
yep. Look, it's the MVP thing now. It's almost just like it's basically turned into which quarterback has the best stats.
Which quarterback has the best last 4 games? That's what it kind of seems like.
Right. That too. Real quick, who do we think gets MVP then?
Josh Allen. I think that ref said, "Hey, don't worry about it. Next week,
By
you're
default.
good. You're gonna be MVP next week. Don't hate me too much,
Right.
man. I put in a good word for you."
Bro, like, if the referee ever went over to the bench to apologize to Patrick Mahomes for a missed call or a bad call, can you imagine what would happen?
Dude, I kind of got goosebumps just now thinking about that. Like, if that had happened, like the level of shit we'd have to defend, like, the optics of it just looks so terrible.
Right. Yeah. Nick had mentioned Nick Wright maybe giving the Texans a little bit of bulletin board material earlier, but like he has a clip, if you haven't seen it, where he's spot on about he's like, the Bills and Josh Allen have the relationship with the NFL referees that everybody online in the media thinks that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes
right.
With
he nailed it.
The rest, he nailed it. He's talking about. He's like, when the Chiefs lost in the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl, and they didn't get the ball, it was like, oh, too bad.
Yeah, that sucks.
Winning regulation, that sucks. When it happened
year.
to the Bills in the divisional round to go to the AFC Championship game, we got to change the rules immediately. And he's like, people are going over. Yeah, it was a national story, and it's just so spot on.
Or how about that? I think it was the Bills game where we lost by like some flag, right? And Mahomes was kind of complaining, went up to the refs like, "That's bullshit." Even said to Josh Allen, like, "That was a bullshit call," right? Like, everybody labeled Mahomes as like the baby of the NFL, right? Like, I saw all the memes of him crying and shit. Meanwhile, every week Josh Allen's sitting there like throwing temper tantrums, like, "Why I didn't get my way?" And it's just like
flopping. The dude's the biggest flopper too. He's like, I don't know if you want to call him the LeBron James of the NFL or not, but
yeah, it's a weird dynamic trying to like go into the end zone, like flexing, right? But then a guy like touches you and you just flop over. Right. Like, are you really that strong, man? Oh, come on.
Yeah. So, man, I'm so excited for this playoffs to get started, and looking forward to being out at Arrowhead on Saturday in Section 304.
Oh, I'm so happy
be
and
there,
jealous
man.
for you guys at the same
Right.
time that you're going. That sounds like so much fun.
Oh, we
Where
got a
you at,
couple.
right?
Got a
Are you
couple
still-
of questions from Cole here. I've been sitting on. You guys ready for those? Or you want to wait a minute?
Are you still
Yeah,
in
for
northern
sure.
New Mexico, real quick, Bo?
Yeah, I'm still here. Long drive. I thought about it.
The guy with the seats next to me is trying to sell them. So, if you,
I'll text you. I'll text you after the show.
all right, man. Let's get to
Come
Cole.
on, man.
Let's get to Cole's questions here.
All right, yeah. So, do you guys think we retain Hunt after the season, given let's DH go, or at least play it to let it go?
Man, I don't know. I mean, now that Clyde's gone, maybe. Send us an email at chiefskingdomlive@gmail.com, John C. And maybe we get John C. and Bo out here for this game. Like, if he's still got him, I don't know. I haven't heard for a couple days. He was trying to unload them. So he was wanting to get 3 together, and he's only got 2. So, I don't know. Maybe they keep him on as a backup role. I don't know. They went into the season and didn't really seem to think that they needed him. I don't know what their plans are with Pirine. Pirine's a little bit younger, a little bit healthier, probably a little bit fresher. But, I mean, if I had to say one way or the other, I don't think Kareem Hunt comes back next year. What do you think, Nick?
So he's going to be 30. I mean, I could see them bringing him on as like a league minimum type deal. I mean,
maybe. They got Carson Steele, right? I mean, he's kind of like earning. It'll be his second year, but yeah.
Hunt's better than Steele, though, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, most likely. Yeah.
So, all right. The other question: have you guys heard anything else about Spags or Nagy and head coaching gigs?
I heard that they took interviews, but more than likely they're not going to the teams they interviewed with.
The Jets were like, we'll take everybody from the Chiefs.
I mean, they might interview me next week for the position. I don't know. Like,
right.
We talked about this too, though. Especially, I don't know. Maybe it's more so with Spags because he's like getting a little bit older, and he might not have a whole lot of like chances left in him. But I mean, you want to go to the Jets or the Raiders or one of these teams that's like dysfunctional, and I don't know, man. I just don't.
Yeah, do you think that Andy's like when they're coming back or coming out of those interviews with the Jets, and he's like, "Don't that's a career killer, dog."
I don't know. I mean, I hate to put words or even try to guess what he's gonna say, but man, yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. I mean, I think Spags is back next year.
Well, I guess the real question is: do the coaches, the coordinators, do they get Madden rankings?
Yeah, or? I don't know. But.
I don't know either. I got to start playing Madden.
I don't know.
I don't think our coaches are going anywhere. I mean, I could see Nagy going somewhere just because, like, I don't feel like he's brought that much. I mean, it's hard to say behind the scenes, right? Like, I don't know what he's doing in practice and stuff like that. But, I mean, we've seen OCs do just as well as he's done. So, like, I could see some wiggle room there. But Spags, I'm with you guys. I think he's here. Going back to Hunt real quick, I don't think I got to throw my 2 cents in there. I don't think we keep him. We've had that role before, and I think we just get as much juice out of that fruit as we can, and you've seen him do that with Hunt. Like, if that was the role that they're kind of going after, I think we would have kept McKinnon this year.
Right.
And I see Steele or Pirine kind of sneaking in and getting that spot over Hunt, sadly. I mean, I would like to see Hunt. I think he's awesome. I think he's really reliable, but
I think you'll see the Chiefs draft a running back this year.
That too. Yeah.
I hope to see him draft a tackle sooner than a running back.
Yeah, they need to get better at running back. They need to get a guy, man. Like, I know it's gonna make a lot of people pissed off about Pacheco, but man, I don't know. I just don't. I mean, you guys. I mean, do you have any interest in giving Pacheco a big payday to stay? I mean, he's been good, but he has not been great, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair, right? Like he's better than average. But we always talk about like how he hasn't popped one off for over 30 yards, right? They just never get those home runs. And you watch other teams just do that week in and week out, and you're like, oh, that must be so nice. And it's hard because like I don't hate our run game. I just don't feel like we can rely on it to be like our focus by any means. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, do you really want it to be?
Right. Yeah, Cole's talking about Nagy and the offense. We've talked about that on here before too. I don't know. The offense to me is 90% Andy Reid. So, I mean, I think the successes and the failures of the offense, I mean, that's on his shoulders, right? I think that lays at his feet. I know Nick's been a little bit more critical and think maybe Nagy has a little bit more to do. With
Yeah,
the
I mean, I
offense
think
and
that the drop off
bad,
has been significant since he came onto the team. If you look at the production, maybe there's other factors there that are
primarily Sky Moore and MVS, and Kadarius Toney, and
Too hopeful.
I mean, you go back to the enemy, man. They had Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill and like these guys,
D-Rob,
man. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, it could be. It could be some of that. I also saw Matt Nagy take Mitchell Trubisky to the playoffs as a head coach. It's a starting quarterback in Chicago, and I don't know.
John C's comment in here for Hunt saying, sorry, but Hunt's better than those above P. Ryan and Steele. All right. He proved it and carried the team very well this year.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I completely agree. I just don't know how much tread are left on those tires, so to say.
Right. And you also heard how taxing this has been on him. Like, there was a story, where they talked to him, and he was like, there's a couple Mondays where, he couldn't even get out of bed. Barely got out of bed, right?
They're giving him 40 runs, and as we've mentioned so many times, he was sitting on the couch.
But,
you know what I mean? He didn't have a training camp or anything.
Right. I just don't know how many miles Kareem Hunt got left in him. But I mean, I'm not saying I want him to be gone either. Don't get me wrong. I don't want it to come off as I'm being a Kareem Hunt hater or haven't been thought he's been great.
I would love him. I'd love to keep him.
He's the best running back on the team right now, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can count on him to get that 1 yard on 3rd and 4th and short and hit the goal line. I think you see him flash when he catches the ball out of the backfield, which is something I think you're going to see here in the next couple of weeks in the
this
playoffs.
last Texans game, right? He scored first from 12 out, ran it in.
Yeah, right. So, but I think the age and where they're wanting to go, and some other guys that they've got maybe a little bit younger at the position, like Nick said with the draft, I just don't see him back. That doesn't mean I don't want him back. I don't see him back. I mean, I'm loving wearing his jersey after the games again. I know that. I dusted that sucker off. I dusted it off. I'll be wearing it Saturday too. So,
never mind, it's the wrong number, but hey, here we go.
That's just, hey man, like the guy in the row behind me pointed out. He goes, no, that just means you were an OG, right? You're the hipster Kareem Hunt fan. You had his jersey before it was cool, right? You're not one of those people that went out and bought the new Kareem Hunt 29 jersey. You still got the 27 jersey. So
who has 27 now? Shamari Connor, is that who's 27?
Yeah, I believe so. So,
people are like, damn, that dude's got a Shamari Connor jersey on. Oh, no shit, that's an all-time jersey.
We even talk about Jalen Watson maybe playing this week. Let's go. I mean, that's just.
Think he would get a lot of time, though? I mean, that was a hell of an injury. And
I mean, they'll work him back in.
Yeah.
So I got a question about Butker. Yeah, I'm a little worried about Butker, but I think this rest has been good for him.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, right? This break's probably been the most beneficial for him.
Yeah, one of the guys I think, although they had him out there, right? I mean, he missed a field goal in the Broncos game. I don't know how much one kick really affects him as far as that goes, but he came back from that surgery kind of fast, I thought. And the medical staff knows what they're doing, and I think if they thought it was too soon to where they were going to risk injury or whatever, I don't think they would have gone that way and brought him back that quickly, but it seems pretty quick. So I'm still pretty confident that when it comes down to it and the kicks are going to matter, that Butker's going to come through as long as he's healthy. Bo, how you feeling about Butker?
So I was going to ask you, it comes down to it, 55-yard field goal next game on the line. You're feeling super confident in Butker's leg?
Yep.
I just gotta see his form, man. The past 3 or 4 weeks, he's I don't know. He's done it his whole career, but that whole when he follows through, he falls down to his plant leg. He falls down onto his knee. I don't know. It's just been a little bit more exaggerated the past couple of weeks, and that's why I'm really liking this rest for him. But as far as I'm confident in Bucker. I love him as a kicker, but as like the reliability right now coming off that leg, like I just had to see him kick a couple more times. Like I don't know, he's pushed a couple wide. I mean, he had a long PAT. It was like 48 yards, but he missed that. You know what I mean? So like the reliability for me is like not at 100. It's not below 80, so it's somewhere in there, right? But it's just like, man, there's just a little bit of doubt with that leg and him coming back so early from his surgery. But with these 2-3 weeks that he's had, it's a little bit, it's boosting my confidence in him.
Yeah, even a couple of years ago when he was struggling and he had an injury that he was dealing with right from the first game of the season, when the kicks mattered in the postseason, he showed up. And so, look, until proven otherwise, I feel confident in him. You know, Chris is saying it's going to be 23 at kickoff, so maybe we won't be looking at a lot of 55-yard field goals if it's in the 20s out there. But I mean, he's got the leg to do it, so I feel confident in him. I mean, the team's looking at him out there. They're seeing him kick field goals. They're saying he's good to go, so I'm going to take it that he's good to go. Yeah,
appreciate Chris watching on X. Good to see you in the chat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm going to be bundled up. 23. I can handle 23, man. I just like you start getting into like the low teens and the single digits is where the weather.
It's over 30 degrees warmer than the last playoff game we went to at Arrowhead.
Starts getting to me, yeah. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I couldn't be more excited about this playoffs, and like the Chiefs are going for a three-peat. If you would have told me that 6 or 8, 10 years ago, I would have thought you.
Don't worry, they're gonna be going for a three-peat here in 8 years.
They
are okay.
Need to be committed. So, yeah, I don't know anything else. Any other questions anybody's got? I mean,
we're geeking out here a little bit. Cole saying he met Jan Stinnerud and Willie Roaf same day. He's looking at my jersey back there.
Yeah, that's a good
Chiefs
day.
bids, man. If you ever see Stinnerud stuff up there, I didn't spend a whole lot of money to get that jersey. I think it was like $30 or something was the winning bid on it. So
right now there's an Andre Rison jersey for like $40. I was like, wait, what? Where'd you get that jersey from?
Right. Yeah. Speaking of jerseys, if you're not subscribed, make sure you are clicking that subscribe button. We are giving away Isaiah Pacheco signed jersey when we get to 1,000 subscribers. We're inching there, man. Surely, slowly but surely.
We're getting there. We're getting
more every day. So maybe tell the friends and family if they haven't subscribed yet. Just send them the link. It's easy. All you do is go to the channel on YouTube and go to share, and you can just
one click,
2 click, and get that fired off. And we're really wanting to hook somebody up with that jersey. So appreciate everybody watching tonight. We're 3 days away from the Chiefs back in real football action. It feels weird, like they haven't played a real game.
Been a minute, right? It's like
almost a month. Like
what's going on?
It feels like the off season or like the preseason or something here. It's been weird, but yeah, looking forward to it. We really can't thank you all enough for joining us and watching us this season. Just makes being a fan of this team and going through this dynasty that much more enjoyable. And again, make sure if you're not following us on social media, you're following us at Chiefs Kingdom Live on X, on Facebook. We're doing contests and giveaways there. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you get in on that Isaiah Pacheco autographed jersey giveaway. Chiefs, Texans running it back to where the dynasty started en route for the first ever three-peat Super Bowl champions. Kicks off Saturday at Arrowhead Stadium. We'll be there. Thank you again so much for watching. And until then, we'll be back next Wednesday. Let's go, Chiefs.
Let's go,
Chiefs.